fueled your passion to get into the fitness industry?
Definitely my sport background.
So in the business you're in, how are you changing people's lives?
How people know of it is if you go there, you definitely get a change. That's guaranteed.
In terms of losing weight, putting on weight?
Putting on weight, if you're coming for sports,
Yeah.
definitely you're going to be one of the elite athletes. If you're coming for weight loss journey, it's guaranteed results. If you're coming to gain weight, it's guaranteed results. So kind of we can tell, money back guarantee.
Today on The 3i Show, we sit down with a man who didn't just build a fitness brand, he built a movement. He's the founder and chairman of HIT, Sri Lanka's fastest growing fitness studio, and a rising force in the global fitness world. From national swimmer to corporate sales, to pursuing his true passion, fitness.
Welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast, The 3i Show, with myself, Stefan de Alwis. Today I have a leader in the fitness industry. He's making big moves in this fitness industry and he's making a mark that cannot be erased. And today I have with me a brilliant personality, and that's none other than Yohan Rathnayake. Yohan, it's great to have you with us today on the 3i podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Stefan.
Many people know or may know you for having, 20-inch biceps or having a brilliant six-pack, but there's more to you that meets the eye.
Yes.
And you've created today a brilliant business, a brand called FIT.
Yes.
And it's the fastest growing and biggest fitness studio in the country. Is that correct?
That's right.
Wonderful. So tell us a little bit about your journey, Yohan. First and foremost, do you come from a business background?
No, not at all. I'm not from a big business background. So it's just that passion which started, and I've been into sports from the small days. Being a swimmer, represented the country, and it's actually speaking, I started management and then actually I didn't want to continue that. Yeah. And I was being a banker, I didn't want to continue that, and it doesn't give me that boost or the drive to be. And then I realized which path that I need to select, and fitness became the part of my life. And to start a business, I think you don't want to be, or you don't want to have a business background.
You don't need a business background.
You don't want it, because how I created for the last we are on the 6th year, and it has
6th year. Wow. Okay.
We are going to celebrate in September 9th. It will be 6 years completing. So amazing journey that we had, and the brand has become the number one in what we do. So we are specializing in HIT, and that HIT has been converted to something new, something called high art.
So when you say hit, does it mean you're physically hitting people?
No, not at all. It's called high intensity interval training.
Okay.
So that I twist a bit and I made something called high art. It's called high intensity active rest training.
So that's unique to you.
That is unique to us, as in we are the only one who do that in the entire world.
So what does that mean to someone who's watching? They might be thinking Hyatt. It sounds like the Hyatt Hotel. What is Hyatt? What does it mean? And if you can explain that to us?
Yes. So Hyatt means, it's basically the meaning of high intensity active rest training.
Okay.
So in HIT you have an interval. Here what we have is active rest. So example, now say you do a knees to chest jump.
A what jump?
A knees to chest, as in you bring your knees to your chest.
Okay.
So when you are tired in a HIT, what you do is you give a break in between. But what we do is here, we, without doing knees to chest, we are going for a skipping jump, a low intense workout. So with this, what happens is, with this, your cardiovascular strength become better, and especially the sport like swimming, athletic, rugby, contact sports, this helps a lot.
So what fueled your passion to get into the fitness industry?
Definitely my sport background fueled me, and that gives me the drive to get into it. And mainly nothing else, like for me it's very important to change someone's life.
Wow, that's...
So for me, the happiness that you get by changing someone's life, you don't get it through money. obviously we all work to earn, but then again that happiness is far greater than earning money for me.
කතා කර ලැදිම මට මේ වකට් කරන්න පුළුවන්ද කියලා. ඒ කියන්නේ අනිත් අයට වඩා මම වෙනස්නේ. මට ට්‍රේනින් කරන්න පුළුවන්ද දන්නේ නැහැ කියලා තමයි මම ඇහුවේ. ඊට පස්සේ යොහන් හමු වුණා. යොහන් කිව්වා මම ට්‍රේන් කරන්න ඔයාට මගේ ටිකට් ඔක්කොම අරගෙන කිව්වා එක්ස්ට්‍රා කාඩ් ඔක්කොම බෙල්ලුවා. බලලා කිව්වා ඇටෙන්ඩ්ලා එන්න කරමු කියලා. මම දැන් අවුරුදු 3 මාරකටත් වැඩි හිතන්නේ. මෙතනට ආවම පස්සේ මට ගොඩක් ඉම්ප්‍රූව් වෙලා තියෙන මගේ ඇක්ටිවිටි එකකින්. ගොඩක් බය තිබුණා ඒ වුණාට අර බය නැති කරේ යුවන් ඔයාට පුළුවන් බය වෙන්න එපා කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ මේ පොඩි දේවල් ටිකක් මට දුන්නා. මම මේමම කරගෙන ආවා දිගටම ආවා. දැන් හොඳ ස්ටේජ් එකේ ඉන්නවා. සතියකට දවස් 4ක් ආයි වර්කවුට් කරනවා අප බොඩි වලට. අපි වගේ කට්ටියට එළියට එන්න බය හිතනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒ වගේ ෆැසලිටිස් තියෙද දන්නේ සමහරතන් වල ඒ වගේ ෆැසලිටිස් නෑ. ඒ නිසා ගොඩක් අය එළියට එන්න බයයි. එහෙම බය වෙලා ඉඳලා හරියන්නේ එළියට බැස්සොත් තමයි මොනරි කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කියන්නේ ඒතුළට වෙලා ඉන්නකොට අපිට තව ඉස්සරහට යන්න බැරි වෙනවා. ඊපස්සේ තමන්ටම කියලා මොනවද හදා ගන්න ඕන එකට එන්න ෆිට් එකේ ඕන ෆැසලිටිස් තියෙනවා. හොඳට ට්‍රේන් කරනවා. හොඳට කතා බහ කරනවා. ඒකත් ලොකු දෙයක්. කතා බහ කරන අපිත් වගේත් මිනිස්සුත් එක්ක හොඳට කතා කරනකොට අපිට තව මොටිවේට් මම ඉස්සරහට යන්න පුළුවන් කියලා හිතනවා. ඒතර ෆිට් එකක් එනවා. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔක්කොම ට්‍රේනර්ස්ලා අපිට හොඳට ට්‍රේන් කරනවා. ඉතින් කතා කරනවා. කතා කරන එක ලොකු දෙයක්. අපිත් වගේ කට්ටියත් එක්ක ගොඩක් අය කතා කරන එක අඩුයි. ඒ කියන්නේ එතකොට අපි මෙන්ටලි අවුල් වෙනවා. මේ මෙතන එහෙම නෙවෙයි. මෙතන ආවම පස්සේ ට්‍රේනර්ස්ලා ඉන්න කට්ටිය ඔක්කොම හොඳට කතා කරනවා. අපේ ආඩපාඩු මොනවද ඕන කියලා දෙනවා. ළඟම ඉඳලා කියලා දෙනවා. ඒක ලොකු දෙයක්. තව හිත හදා ගන්න ඕනේ. මේක උනාන් කියලා ඉතින් ජීවිතේ ඉවර වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
So in the business you're in, how are you changing people's lives?
How people know of it is if you go there, you definitely getting change. That's guaranteed.
In terms of losing weight, putting on weight?
Putting on weight. If you're coming for sports, definitely you're going to be one of the elite athletes. If you're coming for weight loss journey, it's guaranteed results. If you're coming to gain weight, it's guaranteed results. So kind of we can tell, money back guarantee.
Money back, and I can affirm that because I myself, my wife and I, we come there and we've been coming there for a long time. So it's a brilliant place if you want to do some exercise and get visible results. But you have to put in the effort, correct?
Definitely yes. Because see, what we do is we always says, come enter through doors, and we will make sure that you do it. But the question is, what we do is basically we do only 1% of it, but 99.9, if I say, we do only 0.1. 99.9 is that particular person, but we know the art of getting it done. So we don't believe in getting to a strict diet routine while you're having your favorite food, how to lose weight.
Wow.
While you're having your favorite ice cream, how to gain your weight.
Brilliant. So you can still have hot butter cuttlefish, and you'll tell us how to.
Definitely. Because I looked at in a way that fitness is a lifestyle. So not a lot of people who come there to to have the biggest bicep or the biggest leg, or no, nothing like that. They want to be fit. They just want to have a beach body. So for that, you don't want to do a crazy diet plan, or you don't want to calculate your macros to micros. So you just want to do what you're doing it right, and balance your food.
Okay, very good. Interesting. So it's not just about there seems like there's science behind
Definitely.
what you're doing. It's not just doing things haphazardly.
100%.
So it's been 6 years you're celebrating this year. It's a interesting journey because I know you personally. So in these last 6 years, to come to a place where you're the fastest growing and the biggest fit studio in the country is a big achievement. Was it an easy ride from the day you started?
Definitely no. See, lot of people have asked me question this like, Yohan, we are not coming from a business background, and to be in a competitive market and to how to compete. So my first answer is just that whether what you are going to do is give you fire inside.
Does it fuel you to
It's
your
fuel
drive?
you or
Yeah.
not. And the second thing is consistency
Mm.
and the commitment. You can have the consistency, but if you don't have the commitment, you can't play that round. You can have the commitment, and the same time, if you don't have that consistency, again you're going to fail. So you need to have both at once to, to get through what you want. And actually, it's not a straight road. Doing a startup and building up there. I actually started up in Independence Square,
Okay.
and from there we came to a 3,000 warehouse,
Wow.
3,000 square feet warehouse in Kilimanjaro Mountain, and from there to 7,000 square feet.
So
Now-
it's been a progress.
Progress, and now we are branching it out. So we are heading to Wattala. We are going to locate in different locations in the country and outside the country as well.
So what's your vision for Fit?
I want to be the number one brand in the entire world.
Wow, that's a big
So,
vision.
Big vision. So my greatest target is to make sure that I will beat Les Miles, who is the number one in my sector. So we are outstanding because we do certain things which others are not doing right now, and that separate our product from right now. So because of that, we have a plan which we need to align with, and our team is aligning with that, and we will reach out to the destination. So I always says, your dream can be very big,
Yes.
and keep it big. Say if someone comes and tell you, Yohan, that dream can't be achieved, it's crazy. You need to start small. Don't listen to them.
Mm.
You always listen. Tell them. Make sure that they come and tell you that you can't achieve it, so that one day you can go back and say, what you said is wrong. I achieved it.
I agree with that. So I remember a quote that I read a long time ago. It said, if your dream doesn't scare you, it's not big enough.
100%.
So with your dream of being number one in the world, that's a big dream and a big vision.
Yes.
So that's very important. Vision is very important.
Very.
I think in any founder or anyone starting a business or any business, in fact, today, if there's no vision, then there's no direction.
100%. I think we have to add this also. For a company, it's very important to have a vision and a mission. Because if you don't have a vision and a vision, what happens is you go just because you have the path, you just walk. If you don't know where you are going to end, what's the plan, what's the next step, then you're going to get stuck. Then you come halfway through and then you think, okay, what I'm going to do next. So it's very important to have long-term plans and short-term plans,
Brilliant.
so that you know by end of this year you need to achieve this.
Yes.
So for me, everything is a sale. It's how you put it out your product. So
Yeah.
you have to make sure that your team and your directors are aligning to one goal, so that you reach up to the end goal.
You mentioned sales before being owning the Fit studio. You said you were in a banker.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, what a wonderful time, because that is a time that I actually learn how to do sales
How to do in a bank?
in a bank.
Okay.
So I worked at HSBC, where my roots came from. So I learned so much of things at HSBC. I felt like it's a school. I felt like a perfect place to start for a
Yeah.
young guy.
Brilliant.
So HSBC molded me and make me to a better person. And I started with card sales, then got promoted, went to advanced sales, and then premier sales, and then actually for after 5 years I moved to Standard Chartered.
Okay.
So they mold me. They made me to meet the top tier in the country,
Wow.
people who owns business.
Okay.
So there only I started learning a lot of things.
When you interacted with
Interact
those
with the
high net worth
people.
clients.
Yes.
So what's the best lesson you learned on sales?
The best lesson that I learned through my career was everyone has their own way of starting. Doesn't mean that one guy do it, that will be your way. It can be different for you to someone else.
Yes.
So you need to find what's your way,
Okay.
what will be the best way. Just because you want to start something doesn't mean that you have to have a lot of money. In the same time, certain business you might need to have a lot of money. It's all depend on how you start and how you look and how you're going to target it.
So did you start with a lot of money?
Not at all. Not at all. So Fit initially the investment was close to 3.5 million. So actually less than that. So from 3.5 million now we have become a 100 million company.
Wow, in 6
So
years.
6 years. So it has taken up to a greater level, and with the brand awareness, what we have built, and the best part is like the first two, or if I say 2.5 years, we haven't spent a single cent on marketing.
Really? So now
Not at
normally
all.
a lot of startups founders they spend on marketing.
Yeah, my marketing was the word of mouth.
Mm.
My target was to make sure that people who come here, we see result.
Yes.
Example, if someone comes to my gym, if that person have changed within a month, that's my marketing, because his circle will see the change, and then from there they will come. So that was my marketing. I haven't spent a single rupee on my first 2.5 years.
Wow. And that's, I mean, word of mouth is the best
Best
type of
marketing, yeah.
advertising and marketing. You mentioned that it wasn't a smooth run. I mean, every year it wasn't smooth. It wasn't easy doing business. So my
Yeah.
question to you is, what were some of the challenges you faced starting the business and in these last 6 years, and how did you overcome those challenges?
So I'll put it in this way: we started in 2019, September 9th. What happened was by 2020 February we hit with COVID. Oh.
Of course, yeah.
Now we had to pay rent. We didn't have money, but then again the business has to continue. So the only thing that we did, we became creative. So at that time we became the first to host the biggest Zoom workout program for the entire South Asia.
Wow. So creativity there
Creativity,
helped you.
yes. And we are such a place that you don't want gym equipment to do the workout. So that is the time that we became a name, we became a brand, we became who we are. Why? Because our team is creative. So we came up with something very nice. We started something very nice, and at that time people didn't have anything else to do.
Yes.
You are just stuck at home. So only thing they look forward to was to do a workout. Some people did twice. If I say 90% of our fit members did twice. And then while we are overcoming COVID, we if we started 5, we became 10 on the population, and then out of 10.
Yeah.
And then when we are going, then the economic crisis came up.
Yes.
Then again we became creativity. Creativity comes out. What happened? We came up with a bicycle challenge.
Oh.
Everyone have to come up in a bike to
Okay.
your gym, and then you get points for that.
This is during the fuel crisis.
Fuel crisis. So what you need to do is you need to come out from the box that you are in and go outside, and you need to look at it.
Wonderful.
You need to look at, because one of my main quote for my life is always try to see positivity through negativity. So every place that you look, there's an answer.
Yes.
It's just that you need to think out of the box, think out of the picture itself, so that you will see a better vision. It's like if someone comes and asks me, Yohan, can you read the paper here? You won't be able to.
Correct, yeah.
But if you take the paper out, you can see clearly.
That's right.
Likewise, what I did was I drew something on my board and I came out. Then I start seeing
Clearly.
clearly.
Wonderful. And so that was one challenge you overcome, COVID,
Yes.
and then the fuel crisis.
Yes.
Are you the only person involved in the business, or do you have partners?
No, we do have partners. So there are a couple of problems came to us which we have overcome. As partners, when you're doing with partners, one thing that we need to realize, it is not every day is going to be sunshine.
That's right.
So there will be problems coming involving in the business. So we need to overcome one by one. But we overcome, if I say, very successfully, and we came out to the market very strong. Not only that, one thing that we have to understand, when you come to a brand, what I strongly believe, brand have to have a face,
Yes.
because that brand will carry along with the face. So at Fit, I was the face.
That's
so
right.
the face carries a value, and when you're on the upper in the ladder,
Yeah.
the criticism is given.
Of course, yeah.
So if you don't get criticism, that means you're not successful. So if you are getting criticism, that means you're actually are on the way to your success.
Success.
So as much as criticism comes, definitely the success will also
Also
follow.
there.
Likewise, I have got enough criticism, but in the same time, you have to follow what you believe.
Yep.
You have to do what you're doing, and until you see the success.
For someone watching, they might be wondering, how do I select the right partner to get into business with? How do I do that? What would be your advice?
My advice initially, you need to have the same hunger. Everyone have to have been having the same fire, so that it will become a champion. It will be a champion business. Why? Because if one person only is in fire, the other one is not in fire, what happen? The one who's in fire will actually the fire will move out when you keep working.
Yeah.
You will do 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, but after 10 years, that one's fire will come down. So what you have to make sure that whoever you're partnering with have to have the same fire in their own ways, so that it will bring different ideas to the business. And in the same time, you need to partner up with people who have different expertise.
I see. That's interesting.
That's very interesting, because see, I might be the best in doing what I'm doing right now. You need to, in a business, you need to have a good visionary guy, in my belief. In the same time, you need to have someone to command, who to run the business. I can be the visionary guy. In the same time, my one of my directors, Jessica, she's
Yeah.
the one who run the business.
She's also your wife?
My wife as well, my
Okay.
beloved wife. And in the same time, there should be someone who come up with crazy marketing ideas, someone like Amy. So you need to have a collective good people in their own best.
Understand. So since you brought up your beloved wife, is it there might be people watching who are husband and wife in business? Is it easy to be in business with your wife?
Trust me, in the first, if I say the first 3 years, that's not easy at all, because it's you're waiting to say something to other side.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. So, but through the time period, we learn to how to keep it business work the personal life separately.
Brilliant.
And it's very important, if you're actually doing a business with your wife, it's very important to not to take your work to home, not home problem to work. It's very important, because and people who can do that right will see a bigger progress. A reason, because end of the day, both need one goal.
Yeah.
But if these two are walking two different paths, it's going to be a haywire, because they will do something that drastically damage the business. So it's very important how much understanding that you need to have when you come to, especially on if your husband or the wife
Wife.
in the same business, because on top of that, once you have a kid, it will be much more harder. So it's very important how to balance your life. So you need to draw the line, and you need to know where you are and how to move forward.
Wonderful. And in your team, how many are there?
So we started with one,
Yeah.
and now we have a 12-member team.
Wonderful.
And by next week it will become a 22-member team.
22.
Yes.
So how do you manage and motivate your team?
See, we having meetings is very important in a business. Again, one thing that I learned from my first working place, HSBC, is having daily meetings.
Okay. Daily.
Daily meetings. It's very important, because you need to. Sometimes you can ask this question. Actually, I always ask this question. There is only 5% in the world who own businesses.
Yeah.
The rest of the 95% work for someone. Reason why? Because they are so used to work for a command. Not everyone is an entrepreneur. So there should be a command, there should be a task given every day if you want to see result. But if you are giving task every once a week, people forget. They need to be reminded every day. So that is very important. That's why it's very important to have meetings every day, to know if you give a target in the morning, you see whether that has done on the next day. If not, you remind them. So it's very important to have a meetings. And you need to, in the same time, you have to remember, if the company is to grow,
Yeah.
you can't every day you can't be the one to lead the place. You need to learn how to let it go,
And delegate.
delegate the work. It's very important. When I started fit, I started at 5 a.m.
Wow. Yeah.
until 11 p.m.
My gosh.
every hour.
Every hour you were there
Every
from
hour.
5 a.m. to 11
Yes.
p.m.
So there are weeks, not days, weeks. The entire week I must have slept 3 hours, maybe 4 hours maximum. That has been my routine for 2 years, and then that has changed. And now I rarely do a session. I do that. Why? Because I have to make sure that company grows. So in any business, it can be fitness or it can be any other business as well. It's very important to delegate the work. So if you want to grow the business.
Recently, you brought pride to the nation by getting a podium position in a competition that is a global, worldwide competition. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So it's called Hyrox. So at the moment, that is at the peak, and you're looking at around 600,000 participants last year for Hyrox.
600,000. Wow.
600,000. This year they're expecting 1 million participants. So the competition is tough. It's not easy, and it's strenuous as well. Uh, I managed to bring the first Hyrox flag to the country by becoming third. So now my plan is to move up in the ladder, and it's very important the main person winning something like that. Why? Because it's called leading by example.
Yes.
So that everyone can believe that we also as Sri Lankans we can achieve in the global stage. My target also to create more Hyrox winners, first participants and then winners.
Okay.
And top of that, it's not just one go I won, and that was my fifth Hyrox, and it took
Four attempts.
to win one Hyrox.
Wow.
So it's not easy. It's every day getting up again. Commitment and consistency.
That's a good point. So it was on the fifth attempt that you got a podium position.
Yes.
So the last four attempts when you didn't get a podium position, what kept you going? What was your motivation? Instead of, you could have said, I'm going to give up now. No, four attempts. Why another time? What made you not decide to give up and continue?
See, few reasons. Actually, I will start with my son, because I have to be a great father. I have to be a person who can look up to. I have to be a person who thinks, okay, my father was like this, so I need to be or match like him. So for me, winning and never give up attitude is kept me where I am today. So I need to show the country, show the world that, if keep going, and then definitely there will be a light on the other side. So for me is that drive. Even for now, third place is not enough for me. Until I break that world record, I'm going to keep continuing. I keep going, continuing. So it's very important to keep your eyes open, because every time you fail, you learn a lot. Then actually more than winning, you learn through losing.
Through losing.
So
there could be someone watching who's maybe on the brink of failure. They want to give up. What would you say to them?
Don't give up, but losing is the best thing that ever can happen to you, because when you lose, you start thinking where you went wrong, and then you are going to sharpen those small edges. The moment you sharpen those small edges, you will end up doing better than the last time. You might fail or you might win, either. Again, if you fail, then you need to go and check where you went wrong.
You will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose.
It's the only way to learn. You have to fail. Failure is a part of the process to becoming successful.
Failure gives you two choices. You stay down or you get up.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
The good example, when I did first Hyrox, I did 131.
1 hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought I can conquer the world. That's how I went there. But game is such that unpredictable things will happen at that moment. I didn't consider the weather inside the place. I didn't consider a lot of things. Then I sharpened my skills and I improved myself so that I will end up in the podium. And even if I win, I don't want to be satisfied. Why? Because that satisfaction makes you say or or if I say go to a plateau area,
Very important. Yeah.
because you should be happy of what you achieve, that's for sure, but that should be a humble achievement. But you shouldn't rest there. If you want to be a champion, the difference between a champion and a winner, in my eyes, winner wins only once. A champion is a legend who wins continuously. So the question that we have to ask is whether, do you want to be a champion or a winner? So I choose to be a champion.
Brilliant. And I know you personally as well, so I know that mentorship is an important part of your life, having a mentor. How important is that? Because people think, okay, I don't need anyone, I don't need a mentor, and they think they can do it alone. But how important is mentorship and finding a right mentor?
You need to have a mentor, because in my personal life, my mentor, my spiritual father, Prophet John Fernando, reason why is not just your body is not, you can't achieve by yourself. There's a spirit side of it, as in the soul side of it, and then you have the flesh side of it. It has to be connected, it has to be guided in a way that you can achieve what you want to achieve. So it's very important to have a mentor to tell you how to do it. So you will have a mentor in spiritually, and in the same time you need to have a mentor of what you are doing. So when you come to spiritual side, my mentor is my spiritual father, Prophet Jerome Fernando. And in the same time, when you come to the world, when you come to physical side, one of the people that I look up to is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Wow, okay.
So one thing that I've learned from him is to say, how to say, not to say no,
How not to say no.
not to say
Interesting.
no. Why? Because when he came initially, when he people said he can't do bodybuilding,
Yes,
and he became the best bodybuilder all time.
in the world.
And then people said, you can't go to Hollywood. Why? Because you have an accent and you have a difficult name to pronounce, and he made people wrong.
Yes.
And then they said, you can't be a minister or a parliamentary or senate.
Yeah.
Why? Because you're coming from a different country. But he started proving wrong at every given
Everyone.
time. So you need to look up and you need to get inspired by certain individual. So for me, those are play a big role
Role.
in my.
Absolutely. And not just you. I know many people today, billionaires, they all have mentors. For example, Warren Buffett, the one of the wealthiest men in the world, whose main aim is, or the main way he's made his money is through investing. But I remember, because I read one of his books, he used to follow his mentor, a guy called Benjamin Graham, and that's how he learned to invest. So mentorship is, I believe in mentorship as well, and I think it's very important. My next question to you is, what would you say to someone who's thinking of starting a business? What advice would you give them?
Few things. First, you have to think about the product that you are doing. It can be a service, it can be a product, whatever it is, you need to think a lot. And don't do it just because you have to do a business. Do it with a purpose. Do it with the intention that the end product or end person will have a satisfaction out of that. And the other thing is, it's very important doing a product and having a quality product. And once you have that quality product, to start, you don't want to have a lot of money. Depends on what you are doing. So I never had a lot of money to start with, and we started with very low. And third thing, there are two hearts in the business in my eyes. One, the product or the service that you have, and the other one is the finance. So if you put a scale, it have to be balanced. Why? Because if your product is bad and your finances are good, pointless. Why? Because this product is not going to move. If your product is good, if you are bad at managing finance, still this is not going to balance your, because there is no future. You don't know how to keep your books, you don't know where to invest, you don't know how to manage or to grow the business. So it's very important to balance these two. So you need to have the right person on your finances and the right product in your hand. And then You need to have the right type of marketing.
Marketing.
You need to have, because you can have the best product in the world if you don't know what's the product and to tell it out to the world what you have in your hand. So it's very important. You need to be very creative, because sometimes as humans we are very weak in doing the same thing for a long time and we get bored with it. So marketing is where you come up with ideas, new ways of putting out the same thing. So it's very important, those three angles. If you can cover those three angles, definitely you can be a successful businessman.
Fantastic. And with the fitness industry and food habits, healthy eating habits, they're always changing.
Yes.
One day they said it's good to be on a carnivore diet. The next day they say you must be on a vegan diet. Then they say this type of exercise is good, this type of exercise is bad. So how do you keep up with the trends in this ever evolving fitness industry to make sure you're on top?
That's one of the reasons why I came up with this 50-50 theory. So, okay, we need to ask the question, what do we need? Okay, people, when you come to fitness, how I look at it, people think about the gym membership. Oh, that is expensive. Oh, should I go? No, I shouldn't go. Why it's expensive? Or maybe they think, should I think about my health? But if something happened to them, they will spend millions and millions in the hospitals. They will go and take medicines. You can have so much of money in your account, but your health is not good at all.
Your health is wealth.
Your health is wealth. So you have to make sure that you invest on your health. And then the other thing that we have to think is how well we can put ourselves out. The current trend is such that, as you said, one day you say, this is bad, this is good. But in fitness industry, things change drastically. As a fitness coach or a person who into fitness, one thing that you need to be updated. You can't have your old techniques and old knowledge for a future business. You need to be updated. It's very important to be updated. In the same time, why we brought 50-50 theory is where you have the balance that. So it's not rocket science. When you come to losing weight, it's all about calorie deficit. When you come to gaining weight, it's about having more calories. And you can have calories through Coca-Cola, but that's not a good way of having it. So you can have 1 or 2 Coca-Cola for the entire week. It's not harming your entire body just because you had a Coke. Doesn't mean that it will damage your body. But as much as you do your daily workout and get your calorie burn and get yourself active, that's what most important part.
Yohan, let's go into you mentioned about your vision and you want to be number one in the world.
Yes.
What are your plans in the country? Because I know you have big plans in terms of globally, but also here, what's your next steps?
So as the next step, we are opening a branch in Rathnayake. So that will be a branch, one of the marks. And then I want to set up a couple of branches in the country and then step into the global stage.
Brilliant. And because you showed me some pictures before of a massive fitness.
Yes.
What was that?
So we are going to come up with something bigger than no one expect. So to be honest, one of my burning desires is to make sure this country will have at least 35 Olympic medals by 2032. So that was actually burning inside me, because if you come to Sri Lanka, we have only 2 Olympic medals. So one is Duncan White, which is long years back in 400 hurdles, and then Susantika.
Yes.
So other than these 2 amazing gentlemen, we don't have any Olympic medal. We do have Paralympic medals, but not on the Olympics. But my vision is to make sure that we will have a lot of Olympic medals in the future. So I'm coming up with something a bigger vision.
Okay.
Where we build something for them. So it will a stretch plan. So it will come up with out of nowhere, and it will be a surprise.
Wonderful. And one thing I noticed, not just speaking to you, but with many entrepreneurs that I've spoken to, one thing I've noticed, which all of them have in common, is they don't think about themselves. They're always wanting to do something for the greater community. And I think that's what's brought them a lot of success. I want to ask you 4 rapid fire questions, quick questions, and you can just maybe you can use only one word or a few words to answer it. What does success mean to you?
Commitment.
Commitment. Wonderful. Then what would you tell your younger self if you could go back in time 10 years ago? What would you tell yourself?
You started at the right time.
To start at the right time, or that you started?
I started at the right time.
That's a very important lesson. And what I like about that is some people, they have so many ideas, they don't know where to start. What would you say to them? Just start? Or?
Just start. There is no way that you can have the perfect time. You'll never have perfect timing. So you just start. Rest will follow.
What inspires you the most?
Change people's life.
To change people's life. That gets you up every morning.
Every morning. My day starts at 3 and I'm in the gym by 3:30. So my day starts because I always think
3 in the afternoon or 3 in the
3
morning?
in the morning.
Okay.
3 in the morning. 3 in the morning. See, I always think if I start at 3:30, when normal person get up in Sri Lanka will be 6:30.
Yeah.
So I have 3 hours extra than someone else.
Wonderful. So starting early.
Starting early.
I like that. And my final question, in 100 years from now, how would you like to be remembered?
A legend.
A legend.
Definitely.
Yohan, thank you so much for being with us, and it was an honor to have you on the podcast, The 3 Eye Show. Thank you once again. I'm certain many were inspired, blessed by hearing of your journey and how you were able to achieve and bring fit to where it is today in such a short span of time. So thank you so much for being on this podcast.
Thanks for joining me on another episode of the 3 Eye Show podcast. We want to hear your thoughts on what we covered today, so drop a comment on the YouTube version of this episode with your favorite takeaway, any questions you have, or actions you'll be taking as a result of what was shared on this episode. If you found value in the 3 Eye Show podcast, follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's all for this episode on the 3 Eye Show. Get out there and impact, inspire, and influence.